Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to Dr. Boyce in Nomalanga. I'm here with Nomalanga Mushali Moses, the founder of HealthyBlackWoman.com. How you doing today, Noma?
I'm doing great, boys. How are you?
I'm doing really well. And you and I were talking today about Octavia Spencer, this amazing actress. She was in The Help, among other films. And recently, there was a little bit of a controversy about an ad that was run in DC, primarily for a new show on Fox called the Red Band Society. And in the ad, they had a picture of Octavia with the words "scary bitch" below her face. And the ad, people protested against the ad. They said that it denigrates women, it's disrespectful, and some even said it's a little bit racist. And I agree. I'm glad that they took it down. But I wanted to ask you about this ad. I mean, do you think that Octavia kind of went too far with this? Do you think that this was inappropriate, or do you think that this sort of fits under the umbrella of free speech?
Um, I'll say this. I That was my first question when I heard about the story. I wondered if she had endorsed that ad
Mm,
or if they had just done it without her permission. And that to me was very important, and I never did get an answer. But the other thing that I also want to consider is sometimes people who get into, let's just call it Hollywood or that area, they have people who perceive themselves as experts in that area, and you give them too much power to do what they to do their thing. So they're in charge of the ads and what have you, and she's over there not really having any say so. And I think if she had to come up with something about herself, I don't want to believe that that's what she would say about herself. Is it offensive? Absolutely, absolutely.
well, interesting. The last time I checked, I would assume that if somebody's using you in an ad and you've got a brand like Octavia Spencer, you're gonna give consent if they're gonna use you, right?
Right.
Especially if it's a show you're tied to. I mean, I can't imagine them just sort of running the ad and not asking her about it. And it's interesting because this kind of links back to the criticism she received from The Help. When she and Viola Davis, two great actresses, and I'm sure great people, um, people were sort of asking, why is it that America continues to be so enamored with the imagery of the black woman as the nanny and all these other things, as opposed to giving them opportunities to be women of distinction, like the Michelle Obama types and or the Nomalanga Mushali Moses types, etc. Um, Now you're from Botswana, and so you've got kind of an insider and an outsider perspective. So tell me, I mean, do you think that there's something in America sort of about the way Hollywood tends to want to typecast black women?
My experience has been that people treat you how you let them. So I think that you're making a better point than I, that maybe this was out of her hands, that she must have endorsed what they put out. That being said, I cannot imagine any circumstance where a woman would allow herself to be called bitch or scary or any of that. Even if she does look a little scary when she's angry. Obviously, I think that's what they were getting at, that when she's angry, it's scary. Um, Having said that, I do believe, and this is a stereotype. Yeah, African American women are perceived as, in your face, hypersexualized. Yeah, there's so many stereotypes, but of course, having lived here for, it's almost been 2 decades now, I've had different experiences with different women, so I know that a stereotype is just that, it's a stereotype. Um, and I feel sad that Octavia, it's basically a pursuit of money, getting paid, and you could just do go too far.
Interesting. Well, I'll say that my take on this too is that uh, I agree with you entirely. In fact, it's funny, even in a personal conversation you and I were having about a totally different issue, one of the things that you and I had agreed on is that people treat you the way you teach them to treat you, right? And when I see Octavia or anybody that will allow themselves or the people they represent to be denigrated in media in order to make a dollar, what I really see is kind of this chain reaction where you've got people that control the wealth who know that you have a price, that your integrity can be bought, your dignity can be bought. You will do anything in order to make money, and so at that point, you really can become kind of a puppet if you're not careful. because the puppet master says, oh, well, if I need the puppet to go left, I just need to throw a little more money at the puppet and they're going to go left. And I think that's the danger. You see, everybody makes trade-offs, right? Not every, you got to pick your battles. You can't go through life, taking a stand on every little issue and
Right.
totally screwing yourself. But at the same time, if you have no boundaries, if you just make it plain that, look, I'm willing to do anything to be rich and famous, I'm willing to allow myself to be portrayed in any way, that's very dangerous territory, because it seems to me that you can end up in a situation where people are whittling away at your spirit and whittling away at who you are, to the point where you got a big bank account, but that's all you got. You have nothing
Right.
left. Is that your take?
Yes, I do want to point out though that with Octavia, she's not 20 years old, and we're only now learning who she is. So we do have to kind of consider her journey leading up to the point where she did become prominent. And we might find that because I'm very mindful of not using these words, but I'm going to use them anyway. She's not what Hollywood perceives as the most beautiful woman. She's a lot of woman. She's not fat, but she's a lot of woman. Let me put it that way.
There you go.
And she doesn't fit the stereotype of the Gabby Union and the Kerry Washington, which is basically a skinny woman with long hair and smooth skin, and she doesn't look like that. And let's just put that out there, okay? So I would put it that she doesn't necessarily have the luxury of saying no too often, because her options are not as broad as those other women. She's advanced in age, and I know she's been in the acting business for a long time, but it's taken a long time for her to get her break. So I did take that into consideration, but I still stand by my point that there should be boundaries, like you said, or a limit to how far you'll go, when you're chasing a paycheck. And you become more mindful of that she's now one of the leading ladies. She won so many awards. We now know her because of the health. The bar has been set high, but she's actually dropping it.
Well, yeah, I think that we can have this conversation without making it a personal attack on Octavia.
Right.
We love Octavia and we want to support her. But at the same time, we also love our community. We love black women everywhere. And so when you have that responsibility of presenting imagery to the public, unfortunately, or not, there is kind of an expectation that you're going to understand the power of the image that you're allowing others to present of you. And to your point, you have to wonder, if Octavia were in charge of the show and she were making the ads, would she put herself on a billboard and say "scary bitch"?
Right.
Is that appropriate? So, and I think that this is also especially important to think about as we approach the month of October, which happens to be the time of the BET Hip Hop Awards. And there's a consistent disrespect for women, especially black women, that occurs every year from many of the artists that they're promoting. In fact, there's one artist who I want to say his name. I want to say is Young Thug, who literally has a song. His song is literally called "Bitch." I kid you not. And it's either him or Rich Homie Quan, one of those two rappers, but I think it's Young Thug. And so we have to ask ourselves, okay, so most of us will say that this is okay because it's making money. I mean, that's kind of the standard argument. That's what I hear,
Right.
when I talk to media execs and stuff about this. They say, well, yeah, it's bad, but look at the money.
Honey.
But how far does that argument go? Like, at what point do you say, okay, you know what, I have enough money, or there isn't enough money to pay me to do this? And I think that we have to understand that there is strength in drawing boundaries. When people know you have boundaries, that gives you strength in your negotiation with those people. And the last thing I'll say on this, and I'll let you get the last word, is, I heard, I was listening to this song from a rapper. I think his name was Jasiri X. And there's a part at the beginning of the song where he has, I think it's either Louis Farrakhan or Malcolm X. I think it was Farrakhan though. And he's basically saying, you can't control me, you can't buy me, you don't have enough money to buy me. And it just came across so powerful. And I think that we have to applaud those who kind of carry that set of values as well, right? So that's my thought on it. I'll let you get the last word.
I just wanted to bring up. Remember Mary J. Blige when she did that chicken ad? It was dancing for chicken, fried chicken. And I actually recently saw a story where she was very apologetic and really remorseful about doing that. So, and the thing is, it's because it hurt her. She got a lot of backlash for it, and it hurt her reputation, and she realized that, and she's still saying, I'm still recovering from this thing. So that should be a cautionary tale for anybody who thinks that there is no limit. Just do whatever for whatever or for whatever amount of money. And then I also want to point out, you mentioned Viola Davis because they were in The Help along with Octavia Davis, and she has a new show right now. And she is the leading lady. She's a college professor. She's portrayed as she's a little mean, but the character will develop and see if it has any depth. But she's perceived as an attractive woman. She's having an affair with an attractive man, and there's nothing about her that has been made asexual the way they did with The Help, where they never even showed that her husband was in the background, and I wasn't even sure if he was still there or not there, which again makes her very asexual. And then she was always looking like a maid,
asexual, unattractive, and unlovable. Which
right.
Unfortunately, a lot of people see black women that way, which is
right.
the exact opposite of the truth. But please continue.
Right. And I'm loving. I mean, I don't even particularly like the character, but I'm loving that she's getting in front of people with a role that's completely different. And again, that as opposed to a cautionary tale, that's a something very inspirational to say, if you stick to your guns, because she said that she did want that. She wanted to appear on TV and not be the stereotypical maid or whatever it is. And she says, I really wanted that. And I was so glad when Shonda Rhimes and I got together to do this, or when she approached me to do this. So on one hand, you can be Mary J. Blige. And again, I love Mary J. Blige and have nothing against her, who goes too far for the money, and then down the line you're regretting it and your reputation's ruined, and people have said some really awful things about you. Or you can stick to your guns and just have the confidence that your talent and your integrity will do the work eventually.
Well, I agree. And speaking of confidence, talent, and integrity, Nomalanga Bushali Moses has a lot of it. She's the founder of a great website called HealthyBlackWoman.com. And you also have a book. And what is the name of your book?
7 Life-Changing Habits.
All right. So please go buy her book and go check out her website and support her. She's awesome. And me, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.